challenger, Cole.
Yeah. I'm really frustrated. So I love,
But to answer
I like
your
this
question,
team, I think, more than most people in the construction, but that frustrates
to answer your question, yes, there are times in the season. And let's go just to John Tavares for a second, because he came off a game where he was impactful against the Washington Capitals.
Yep.
We saw him get thrown by Tom Wilson down. We saw what is his best version of being pissed off on the bench and then coming out making a great play. But that takes a lot of energy out of Tavares. And clearly coming back home, he did not have the energy. I believe that he did make a post-game comment talking about we just didn't have our legs, which probably meant he didn't have his legs.
Yeah. And you know how that feels when they're not there and it's just like you're swinging around two dead hams. It's tough to be impactful.
It is. And we have talked about his high IQ, and he can make plays, and they're just not coming as often. But how long do you wait before where you can think maybe he's under the weather? There's a flu bug still going around the team.
Yeah, I liked your idea of giving him a game.
Right. And now thinking that there's a bigger issue. And I don't know. I'm going to probably have to see a longer funk. But at some point, we may have to talk about just foot speed of John Tavares being an issue. Quickness and foot speed in the second hole right now, because he is not looking like a second-line centerman on a cup contending team.
It'd be interesting.
You want to throw Tavares in the first or second hole center ice slot with Seattle, Columbus. Yeah, I get that. On a cup contending team right now, if this thing goes much longer, you're going to start thinking, what are my options here?
Did you notice rest giving you much more in the tank? Like if you got a little bit of time off towards the end of your career, like I wonder for Tavares, if going to playoffs, you say, we're going to get him a full week, leading up to the postseason, just to make sure he's got that pop, to make sure he's as good as he can be.
Yeah, I think it's an energy thing for sure.
Yeah.
And if he's not absolutely pumping on all cylinders, it's a factor. There's a lot of times I'm watching John Tavares during the regular season. He's the first forechecker.
Yeah.
And he
works
deep,
hard.
And he ends up a lot down low, below the hash marks. We know his work in front of the net, and we know what he can do behind the net. We saw it against Washington. But there are times when the play dies, and he's now got to come 200 feet back into his own zone.
Yeah.
He's not a natural fluent skater.
No, and he never has been. And so
it's
you
just
wondered
more labor for him.
But would I had wondered, would he age like someone like Yager or Thornton, who are Hall of Fame guys with IQ and hands and vision, like Tavares, who played great late in their careers because they were smart enough with the hands and IQ and vision that they could still create? Or would losing a half step for him just bury him?
The game's gotten quicker, though.
The game is getting very, very fast.
The speed of the game has moved like technology has,
right,
on a computer, and what you can do with apps these days. It is probably another 5-7% faster than it was 10 years ago.
Guys get off the metaphorical treadmill, they retire and look back at the game, and they're just like, thank God I don't have to go back in there. Like the pace is out of this world. So
think about the pace like Tavares, Matthews creates. Like, again, I'm watching him last night, and they didn't have a great game, but God, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay for him and Marner not to have a great game, even though, they still scored the first goal.
Beautiful goal, little give and go. Marner and Bunting.
It was.
Sandin on the back.
But there are some nights when it's not. But there is a drop-off of pace of play and quickness and agility from Matthews to Tavares. It is a significant drop in just pace.
Yeah. The contrast is not helping our eyeball test when we watch John, watching Tavares, watching Matthews move around.
When he follows Tavares, there is a significant drop-off.
There is, for sure. The D pairs were different last night, and the goaltending was different. Well, back to back for Peter Mrazek. Which one caught your eye as a priority?
Well, this is kind of bringing it back to my original thought about Sheldon Keefe. Speaking of the offense, and I'm watching Morgan Riley and Sandin together. And why are we worried about more offense? Why are we putting them together?
You wanted to see, I think.
Was it a set? Was it set when we did our show yesterday that they were going to be together?
I think so.
I would never have thought, if I really thought about it.
I mean, Liljegren played there the night before, so Sandin, it felt like, yeah, that makes sense.
I've got two guys that want to jump up on the rush.
Yeah,
who's going to mind the store?
They are similar style players for sure.
I'm watching Sandin yesterday, and I get it. He's got some strut right now. He scored the big goal in Washington. He gets the goal last night. Now he wants to.
I'm not sure if he made another good play all night after scoring.
He wants to Bobby Orr at the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why put them together? When I did television for Sportsnet, I'd work with Dennis Potvin, Denny Potvin.
Yeah.
And he told me this great story where they were with Team Canada early, and he's with Bobby Orr. And they were playing an exhibition game, and they ended up on a 2-on-0 breakaway.
The two of them?
The two of them.
That's bizarre.
Right? They come back to the bench, and I think he mentioned it was Scotty Bowman that said, yeah, you guys are done. You're never playing again together. I don't want my two defensemen going on a 2-0 breakaway.
No.
He split them up.
And broke them up.
Yep.
Well, I mean.
And that's what I'm thinking with Sandin and Morgan Riley.
It's why Brody's been so good, because he will for Morgan. He'll be back there.
If Morgan's my best skating defenseman and the guy that's soon to be making $7.5 million, I need a stay-at-home guy for him. I don't need Sandin jumping up on the play.
But don't you like them giving it a look and being like, I don't know, maybe this will magically surprise us and they'll be awesome?
No,
not even worth
it. It just makes no sense.
I guess the logic would be that maybe they connect on a level. They got some Sandin mind meld offensive abilities or something. You know, I could see them moving the puck very well. But God, like Sandin missing the straight up pass off the neutral zone face off, like they couldn't even make basic plays by the end of the game.
If we go back to the Olesen goal,